Okay, so with the Lucy Letby case, there's actually a big connection between Lucy Letby and the ketones diet. Okay, and she has been set up. Uh, Actually, psychiatrists have killed those babies, and I have the evidence, and here it is. Okay, so it's quite difficult to explain. First of all, we have to look at the hospital managers, and then we need to look at the MI5 that have scoured Lucy Letby and then decided to pull her out and then treat her appallingly, and that she should be released from prison and then given a huge compensation package that includes a percentage of the ketones diet that was also stolen by the hospital manager, and it's very much part of the Lucy Letby case, and we now need to detail that. Okay, so we'll start off with the hospital manager. Well, actually, the hospital manager is somebody, actually a single person, and then what's happened is that person has inherited the hospital, and then he's actually a middle class person, and the upper classes offend to this, and then they put in their own upper class hospital manager who's a psychiatrist. He's gay, and he's horrendously rogue, a horrendous guy. He should be dead a long time ago. He kills children, basically. He doesn't like the middle and working classes. He should never be the hospital manager. Having a middle class hospital manager is the wisest thing you can do when you're dealing with the upper classes inside a hospital with loads of tools to kill people. So you don't want them anywhere near a hospital, basically. And everyone's scared of hospitals, actually, because of the upper classes that are running it, killing the middle and working classes wherever they can. Ask Lucy Letby. All right, so let's talk about the hospital manager. He was, okay, so the real hospital manager was cast aside by the head of psychiatry as an upper class guy, and he's taken the position as head hospital manager. And to get there, he's actually used an axe. He uses axes. He kills people and then gets them out of the way, and then he takes the head seat, and that's what's happened. And then he's done some terrible stuff to Lucy Letby and a number of other people. And one of the stuff that he's done is created the superbug in the hospitals that makes the nurses work tirelessly to clean the walls and ceilings while the while the doctors sit back and do nothing. The doctors are the upper class group. Okay, so also now he's stolen the position of head of the hospitals. All right, so the same things happened at the MI5 building. So also the same person that owns the hospital is called Max, and that person was cast aside by the upper classes, and they replaced Max with somebody called Cuthbert, who's an absolute nightmare. He's a serial killer. He absolutely loathes the middle and working classes, and he should be dead a long time ago because he's such a criminal. Now, he's also stolen the head position at MI5 too. So the head of the MI5 is also a singular person. And again, Max has something to do with the MI5, because the MI5 is actually the newspapers. That's also the MI5. So the MI5 would include the New York Times and the Times newspaper, and also the Sun and Daily Mirror would include Piers Morgan, and that they're affiliated with the MI5 because that's the news agency and a security agency, much like newspapers are really a security agency telling the news to the middle and working classes. They do a fine job, and the public really need the newspapers and the news and the BBC that rely on the good side of the MI5. So the head of the hospitals, Cuthbert, he's also stolen the MI5 position, and using axes, he's got himself to the top position, and now he's in the MI5 building, and the upper classes are in there, and they're using the MI5 tools to then go in and kill the middle and working classes like it was their sexuality. Okay, so their upper classes, psychiatry has a sexuality of killing people, innocent people, is utterly vile. All right, now he's stolen the MI5 position, and then he's going in and using agents, and then he's attacking people. He's actually gay, and he's head of the gay community. Not that all gays are bad. Certainly the gays that he's hired in the hospitals, they are in this rogue group, and they're not a nice group, and they're killing people. People are scared of the hospitals, actually, because of the gays in the hospitals that are killing innocent middle and working class people. The gays in the hospitals are a representative of the upper classes that have stolen the position in the MI5 building, and also the head hospital manager is now a gay guy, and he's recruiting his own gay people, and they're all very rogue. Okay, so Cuthbert, who's the upper classes, he then got into the MI5 building, and again he's using an axe to get himself right to the very top, and then he's using the tools of the MI5 building to then stalk and kill and ruin the lives of the middle and working classes. Actually, that's his sexuality, to kill and create destruction and hurt and pain, and that's what gets him off. It's disgusting. It's part of the rogue side of the gay people, and that's their sexuality. It includes killing kids, okay, especially they're all heterosexual kids, and they're getting killed because of that. All right, so this rogue doctor, we'll call him Cuthbert. He heads the MI5. He's using the tools there, so he's scouring people's houses, and then what he's doing a piss attack. Right, so PP. Right, so he's also stolen the banks, by the way, off someone called Max. At Max is ATM machines, and at this rogue guy who is British, he's Northern Irish, and he is the head of the hospitals. He shouldn't be. He's also in the MI5 building, and he's particularly attacking the Times newspaper, Piers Morgan, the Daily Mirror, and the Sun newspapers that are the good side, the legitimate side, and the legal side of the MI5 building, which still sustains to this day. Whereas the hospital manager, the real hospital manager, Max, has been cast away, and he has nothing to do with hospitals anymore. Instead, it's all Cuthbert who is running the whole show with an axe. And he's using that axe on the British nurses. Let's look at the superbug that he's created, how mean that is, if you know what that is, and what the horrendous conditions that is created. And while the doctors, the upper classes, sit around doing nothing, all the nurses have to clean the hospital, ceiling, floor and walls every single day. And this is torture, my friend, and that's the upper classes that have created that. Cuthbert, now he runs the MI5 building, and now he's using it to kill the middle and working classes. He's specifically going for nurses. He doesn't like women. He's a puff. He's a gay guy, and there you go. So now, while he's there, he's then doing a piss attack. Right, so you can see this piss attack in the banks, PPI. You'll see it in a lot of other places. We'll talk about it later, but it's a piss attack, and he's then pulled out all the different nurses out there from the registrar of the MI5 that they can get all the names of people in Britain, especially all the nurses, and he's pulled out all the nurses with the name Lucy. Right, then he sent out agents to all their houses to search their houses, like he searched my house as well. And he then gets personal notes of these nurses, and then decides whether he can indict them for killing babies or doing kind of like insidious things in the hospital. So Lucy Letby, unfortunately, has written some odd stuff in her notes, which is perfectly innocent. I've myself too have written notes when I was in my early 20s, and I used to write about fit women, beautiful women. I love beautiful women, and I used to write about it every day like I was slightly insane. But I'm just an adolescent, and that's perfectly fine. That's totally normal. There was no insidiousness in it at all. I never said anything bad, right? So Lucy Letby has also been writing personal notes, and what she said was a little bit synonymous with the place where she's working. She works in a place of life and death, the hospitals, and what she wrote was a little bit life and death, and that's perfectly normal, and you certainly couldn't indict her for anything for that. However, they have, and they searched many people's houses with the name Lucy, all of them nurses, and they found that Lucy Letby's notes were slightly incriminating, and that they could incriminate her with those notes alone. And that's exactly how that case fell into the arms of the prosecutors. All right, so she wrote some notes that were slightly, on a level of 1 to 10, 2. She got a 2. She scored a 2 in that they were slightly gruesome, but she scored a 2. So I've seen people elsewhere in my life that have written personal notes that are far more gruesome than that, and they would never have murdered somebody. They're not the murdering type either. However, they wrote some gruesome notes, personal notes. No, I've never written these type of notes, but I've seen other people write notes, and they would never have killed anyone. They're not murderers. It doesn't make them a murderer. Okay, so that was wrong to indict her based on her personal notes. But the MI5, Cuthbert, he searched people's houses. They looked at Lucy Letby's notes, and then decided this is the girl they're going to choose to kill the middle and working classes, to indict them, to indict the nurses, to make them out look like they're horrible, and then they're going to create a virus to kill them all. That's what Cuthbert is aiming for. History about these doctors in the hospitals. Well, I'm a criminal psychologist. I'm a trained psychologist. So I trained psychologist by the time I was 25, and I write theses currently today on applied psychology and criminal psychology. And I know that the doctors have been killing babies since the 18th century. They're cutting their throat, drinking their blood, and anally raping them. And this is the gay people, the gay doctors. They're in the upper echelon of the Christian church. Doesn't make all Christians like that. No, certainly they're not. But the head of the Christian church loves killing babies and drinking their blood and anally raping them because they're not gay. Okay, so this Cuthbert is one of those guys, and he's killing babies, and he's set up Lucy Letby. Actually, this same doctor, we'll call him Cuthbert, he's very upper class, and he's also stolen the ketones diet off the official head manager of the hospitals. He's called Max, and he's created the ketones diet. Max has. He's a trained medic and a trained dietitian and a herbologist, and that's the secret to the ketones diet. It has something to do with herbology, nothing to do with pharmacy. All right, so the ketones diet and Lucy Letby is connected. Right, the theft of the ketones diet and the indictment of Lucy Letby is fully connected, because the ketones diet was stolen by Cuthbert. He's also set up Lucy Letby, and the ketones diet is the best diet in the world for the last 10, 15 years, and it's made over £9 billion. The hospitals have stolen £9 billion of the real hospital manager, who's called Max. We'll do a discussion on the ketones diet, which takes a while. We'll explain how it was created and then how it was stolen and what's occurred after that as well. So Lucy Letby was innocently chosen out of a load of Lucys that they searched their houses because they're doing a piss attack. Lucy. See, have you heard of the singer Lulu? She's talking about the head of the hospitals that is doing a piss attack to the middle and working classes, and then they've created 100 diseases like Alzheimer's disease, dementia, AIDS, obesity, COVID, bird flu. You see, there's the gays that don't like the women, and that's the bird flu being created, now created COVID, also created obesity. And they can create obesity, they create a synthetic compound that induces fat storing. It's a synthetic estrogen, and then that's put into sunblock, and traces of that stays in your blood and violently makes you store fat and then excessive weight gain thereafter. Lucy Letby, poor Lucy Letby, was chosen just because of her name, and then out of the possibly 10 different Lucys, they searched their houses. The poor Lucy Letby was indicted just based on her notes. That could be incriminating if they attach the death of 12 babies there. Then the jury would say she's guilty, but she's not guilty. She's just been indicted by Cuthbert, who is also the Ian Huntley gangs, MI5. They're the Southport murderers. They are the Nottingham murders. They killed so many kids. It's just beyond belief. It's in the news all the time. It's actually the gay community doing that, and it's a piss attack. PPI is the bank system. At Max, the ATM machine, Max is also the head of the hospitals, was cast aside. Is also in the MI5. Max was adopted by Tiny Rowland, who's the head of the Times newspaper, also Daily Mirror, and the Sun newspaper. So without a doubt, you can see that the head of the banks has created a PPI banking scam. That's PP as in urine. And that we can agree that there's a connection between urine and another urine attack to poor Lucy Letby, and that urine attack is done by the gay community and the gays in the hospitals. They culminate and headed by psychiatry, British psychiatry, and in America, and that the head psychiatrist, Cuthbert, has set Lucy Letby up, searched her house. He's also got himself to the head of the MI5 building using an axe. And historically, they've been doing this historically too, to reach to the head. They get rid of the current heads using an axe. And so the PPI and the banks and the hospital manager, they've indicted poor Lucy Letby, not only stolen the banks of Max, the middle and working class people, but set up all the nurses. So something for the investigators in and around this Lucy Letby case, you must look at the sabotage that's going on. And I know you are, but what you're missing out is the person who's doing the sabotaging is very good medic. He's actually working in the hospitals. He's literally the hospital manager, my friends. And he's a pretty good medic. He's not too bad. Very introspective sort of a person. He doesn't have a good full knowledge of biology. He's a very weak doctor. And his sexuality is to kill our innocent people, and then he goes and masturbates. That's his sexuality. He's exceptionally unwell. He's a head of psychiatry. We'll talk more about this a bit later, but the Cuthbert, head of the hospital, set up Lucy Letby. He's also stolen the ketones diet off the real author by hacking his computer. And the real author of the ketones diet is also a herbologist and a dietitian, trained psychologist, and they've stolen it off him and then made $9 billion. And then he's set up Lucy Letby, and he's created the superbug in the hospitals, and he's done a whole lot more. He's also funding and creating the Ian Huntley gangs. They killed Jamie Bolger. Look at that name. They pulled it out of the hospital registrar. MI5 have done that. Well, the bad side of the MI5 is a very small percentage, and they're right at the top. He's used an axe to get there. He scares the life out of Piers Morgan and a whole load of newspaper people. However, he needs to be dead a long, long time ago, and he's set up Lucy Letby by killing 12 babies. So all the verification of how these babies were died have all been falsified, and actually falsified by someone who is effectively quite a good medic. He's not too bad. He's technically, on spot when it comes to the hospital. He can fake a medical situation very easily, and that's what he's done. And he's got rid of the real true evidence of the baby's deaths and put in a fake one. So the investigators need to look for that. You need to spot what type of a medic he is. He's actually the head of psychiatry, and he's a gay. Cuthbert, head of the hospital, not the real head. He shouldn't be there. He should just be a GP, no less, no more rather. Okay, so now he's upper class, and the upper classes, the bad side of the upper classes, that is the gay side, their boyfriend is Central Africa, and they're the fox hunting community, and that's the people that have killed all those babies and then blamed Lucy Letby. Actually, it's part of a fox hunting program. And they're trying to get the people to hunt down British nurses. The head of the hospitals is doing that. So what do you guys think of this guy? I mean, I hate him. I want him dead a long, long time ago. I pretty much adore nurses. I think they're the greatest people out there. I've worked in the film industry with directors and all types of people, and I admire nurses so, so much. So the MI5, aka Cuthbert, who's not the real MI5, he should be a GP no more because he's that much of a weak doctor. He can't do anything more than a GP. He doesn't. He's not what you call a contributive doctor to the medicine world. He's far from doing that. He can't do it. He's softy hands. He's Cuthbert. He's useless, worthless. Like, look, ask Lucy Letby. She's completely innocent. He's falsified all the documents to make it look like she's done something wrong. She's done nothing wrong. The person that's done that is extremely wicked and evil and pathetic. So they've chosen Lucy Letby. They specifically also look at the name of the hospital, Chester Hospital. This is a big name, by the way. It's got the word chest in it. So Cuthbert has got a device inside the chest of the real hospital manager, who's called Max. He suffers a device inside his stomach, which can kill him. It can blow up. It's a military device. He's head of the hospital, Max. But Cuthbert has a device in him, and now Cuthbert's the head of the hospitals, and he's chosen the Chester hospitals, and he's attacking Lucy Letby. So Max, more about Max with that device inside his chest. Well, he created the ketones diet. He's a very trained herbologist, trained psychologist, and somewhat of a medic. So people call him a doctor. And now he's actually the real official hospital manager, but Cuthbert has a device inside his chest. So Chester Hospital and Cuthbert, and then now Lucy Letby, a victim. She works at the Chester Hospital. And that the Chester Hospital is referring to Max, who's invented and created the ketones diet. That's made £9 billion over the last 15 years. It's the number one selling diet for over 10 years. So the hospitals have stolen 9 billion, and then they've killed a whole load of babies to intimidate and scare off Max, who authored the ketones diet. The people that killed those babies stole the ketones diet. That's 9 billion. They've got a lot of money. They're using that money to send out people to people's houses, especially nurses with a name with a name that refers to wee wee, or with the word wee wee in their name, like Lucy Letby. Certainly, 1 second. So it's very important for the prosecuting team to notice that Cuthbert, he's a medic, and he's falsified all documents of death, of the reason for death. It's all been falsified, and actually falsified by a guy called Cuthbert, who's head of the hospital. So he knows how the procedures are all working. He can easily falsify all those documents. Actually, I say he killed those 12 babies, and it's not they died of natural death. It's not the case. He is an evil, wicked person. He kills is part of his sexuality, my friends. I'm a trained psychologist, a criminologist. They have a problem with their own sexuality. They rarely have normal sex, and this is what they're doing. It's extremely violent, and they kill women, and this is how they get off sexually, these gays. And then they've hired all the gays that you see in the hospitals. It's actually part of this upper class group, and they are also the GP doctors. They hold all the best positions in the hospital, and then they have been put there by the upper class gays. And then that community are specifically against the real hospital run by nurses, surgeons, and the Red Cross, etc. Lucy Letby has been chosen because it's a piss attack, and that piss attack is infamously done by the gay people. All right, now they've also stolen the ketones diet. That's 9 billion. So they have no morals, and they've got a lot to lose if anyone finds out about them. And this is actually an intimidation package, killing all these babies. They also, the Ian Huntley gangs, the Nottingham murders, and the Southport murderers is also done by Cuthbert, head of the hospitals. You can see what type of a guy he is yet. How can you see how awful he is? All right, so now to people who support Lucy Letby and that feel that she's innocent, well, you're correct, she is. And she's been set up by the head of the hospitals. He's also connected to these people. They live at 28 Tottenham Street, West 1, London, central London. Notice the street they've picked to put these people in that are part of the baby killing group that set Lucy Letby up. They've put these people at 28 Tottenham Street, baby, 28 Tottenham Street, and that's where they live. They're connected and been placed there by the people that killed those babies and set up Lucy Letby. Those people that live at 28 are Barney, Katie and Fiona Green. So anyone who supports Lucy Letby, you need to go and visit that place immediately and tell them exactly what they're going to go through when you meet them. Certainly 28 Tottenham Street is working for the upper classes that use an axe to get to the head of the hospitals to then kill the middle and working classes, especially the nurses they're killing and hating. Well, why are they in the hospitals if they hate nurses so much? This is what I'm asking all these years. I've been reporting this Lucy Letby case ever since it started. I know it was completely false from the get-go, and I've done a number of articles and reports on this. So I've explained earlier that the upper classes are the fox hunting community, and those guys are all doctors. Yes, they are. They're all doctors and lawyers, actually, and that the prosecutors against Lucy Letby, well, they've been put in by the murderers of those babies, because the murderer of those babies' head of psychiatry is also a law company. And then they put in the prosecutors to indict Lucy Letby based on some drawings or some writing she did, right? That is not, it's not offensive enough to be used in the prosecution against her. Where is the evidence that she's killed 12 babies? Let's have a look at her life before. She should be killing animals. That's what people like that do. They kill animals. Let's look at the fox hunting community and compare that to Lucy Letby. So Cuthbert, the head of the hospitals, he shouldn't be the head of the hospitals, just no more than a GP at the end of the day. He couldn't be a surgeon. He specifically hates surgery and the Red Cross, and especially hates the nurses. So the 28 Tottenham Street is that group. They're the Greens, Barney, Katie and Fiona Green, and they are also living on 28 Tottenham Street, West 1, Central London, Tottenham Court Road, baby Tot, you see. And then also they are the Fitzroy Community Centre or Housing Centre on the same street. And that housing centre is the councils, and that everyone knows about the councils and how corrupt they are. Well, it goes as far as the Lucy Letby murders too. So the Greens are the far right. That's 28 Tottenham Street. The kind of far right that hate Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage and all politicians. The far right is actually the upper classes. They combat 18 and they kill babies. They have sex with babies. They're homosexuals. They kill those babies because they won't grow up gay. That's why they're killing babies. Doctors are doing that. This group that have done these murders to attack Lucy Letby, well, this group that have done that, they're actually the far right. And at the far right is one homosexual man to every 50 Africans. And those Africans are his boyfriend. And that one homosexual guy is also the fox hunting community and the upper classes. And then the mass immigration of Africans into France and then into England too. Okay, some more evidence that it's the far right that have killed those babies. Well, you have to look at the Indian doctor that's there. He's also been blamed for colluding with Lucy Letby. He is being indicted by the African men in the hospitals and the gays. They're calling that Indian guy too slim for anal sex, and they're desperately trying to get rid of the Indians and the Hindus out of the hospitals, kicked out by the African men and their gay boyfriend that had stolen the position of head manager of the hospitals. He shouldn't be there. He's put in a whole load of procedures and rules that nobody likes. It's completely incorrect, non-medical. So many evidence for this. I mean, so we'll talk more about it later. And that one of these far right people is actually the actor Rowan Atkinson. and then he's also working with the people that have killed these babies around Lucy Letby. So, without question, Lucy Letby was set up by a rogue group in MI5 that can falsify all documents. They can also spy on Lucy Letby, take information from her, and then choose that Lucy Letby to be indicted for a horrendous murders. That's actually part of the gay community's sexuality. Well, not all the gay community, certainly not all of them. Just the upper class ones, the ones in the hospitals, are not your average gays, okay? Normal gays are okay. It's these ones in the hospitals that have been hired by the upper classes. They're all rogue and they're vile, actually, and they should not be around the public. They're extremely unwell. So Cuthbert, who set up Lucy Letby and killed all those babies, well, he's the same guy that's stolen the ketones diet that made 9 billion. He's stolen it off the official head of the hospitals, who's called Max. Certainly, the NHS nurses refer to Max as the real head of the hospitals. He's also a trained dietitian, a trained psychologist, and a medic. And it takes a lot of experience to create a best-selling diet, my friends. A whole load of work and money spent to get such a product going. I got it going, and they've stolen it, and then they've made 9 billion. Currently, I've got £50 in the bank, and they've got 9 billion. And so, in the court case against Lucy Letby, defence will win that case, and when they win it, must also sue the hospitals for the Lucy Letby murders, because we know that the head of the hospitals has killed those babies. He's the general head manager of all the hospitals. He's stolen the ketones diet. That's also 9 billion. So in that Lucy Letby court case must also be the ketones diet that is a side element to the Lucy Letby case, and it's a very important element because they're not only stealing the ketones diet, but then intimidating and killing people to intimidate the real author of the ketones diet is someone called Max, and he's the official head of the hospitals. And in the Lucy Letby court case, she deserves to get a compensation package, and also for the ketones diet, for the hospital managers to then be sued, and then for the £9 billion to be retracted and given back to the author, and of which 500 million will be given to Lucy Letby in compensation. So the doctor that set up Lucy Letby also stole the ketones diet, and it's actually the same case. Anytime Lucy Letby gets indicted for something, well then also the prosecution must serve something. So the Lucy Letby defence must serve a writ at the prosecutors. Not only is Lucy Letby innocent, but the prosecutors owe 9 billion to the Max, who represents the nursing industry. Okay, and Max is the real head of the hospitals, and then therefore the defence of Lucy Letby are to recoup 9 billion from the Cuthbert that's also killed these babies. So something I noticed about this investigation is they're just pointing out that the documents could have been falsified. What they're not saying is who has falsified them, who's done that. They're not chasing anybody. They should be. He's actually in the hospitals laughing his head off that you've not even mentioned him. So he's the one that's stolen the 9 billion and killed those babies and set up Lucy Letby. So in the court case, Lucy Letby, when she's found innocent, she also needs to be paid 500 million in compensation taken from the hospitals that also have to pay out 9 billion, the ketones diet, and that this is part of the Lucy Letby trial too.